I love your hair, Lori. That's beautiful.
I hear
Oh,
you. Well, I got my hair in a different do.
Nice.
Pretty.
you doing the do? You doing the do on your birthday? Your birthday do?
Well, it's not a birthday. It's all month long.
Oh, for sure. You're
Yeah,
right. First month.
it's all month long. I'm celebrating all month long.
So
Hey.
Lori and I have the same month. We're a day apart
Oh my gosh.
and a
Right.
year apart. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
A year and a day apart.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of birthday energy
Happy
going
birthday.
on. Hello,
Thank you,
everyone.
Spencer.
Welcome
Happy
I
birthday.
celebrate all day, every day,
all day,
every month.
every day. She's arrived. Welcome to Dojo, everybody, on this Wednesday night. Great to have you here. Great to have James is coming in live from a different locale. If you are new, there is a react button where there's a heart, and you can press that, and then a hand will come up. And if you want to raise your hand and introduce yourself, that's how you do it. But if you just want to talk about whatever's going on in the world today, you obviously have the are allowed to that. Hi, everybody. How's it going, James? I just came in from doing some shopping. So I was literally like driving to get here, like, oh my gosh, you're running downstairs, and I just kind
Yeah.
of sat on my ball.
Yeah, I've been I took my dad to his eye surgery and that everything went fine and as good as could be expected and he went to bed early. I completely forgot that it was dojo night. I just thank God for Lori texted me. I would still not be here. I was washing dishes and doing stuff like that, watching The Closer. Like my dad has cable TV. It's always fascinating to re-encounter cable TV. So thank you so much, Lori, for asking for the link. But yeah, that's about it, I'd say. Good
Yeah.
to see everybody.
Good. I was looking as I was getting here. I'm like, there isn't a link yet. Okay, wait a minute. Is this just my phone? Is it my laptop? And then it was like, just now the link has been entered. So
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for posting it. There's been a lot going on today.
yeah, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of history, I think, is made today. Regardless of how you feel, I'm just saying, when you're 12, the next kid who's 12 and they open their books, they're going to read about this the same way I was like, Watergate. Oh, that's a cool word. What does that mean? Yeah,
Well, what happened?
what happened? It basically the same, nothing really different happened except for there was just a really heated hearing in I don't think it was the Senate, actually, I think it was the House.
Was it the
But
house?
Pam Bondi
I'm sorry.
testified or
Testified.
answered questions there or whatever. And I think it looks like they caught her on perjury, which is kind of cool, honestly. And
Wow.
if we actually had law, then everything that you saw happen today would be sort of like Watergate times 20. So it's really fascinating to see. It's kind of what I did a stream about today was this idea of loyalty versus alignment, because you really do see this massive structure that's just built around loyalty, no matter how much you push it. And I don't want to bore people, but Pam Bondi actually came from Florida as the attorney general, and honestly, she's been covering for Epstein her entire life. Look, like it's not an exaggeration. It's 2026 now. I think this all started in 2007. So that's 20 years that this one person has been just, you know, uh, serendipitously just every single instance. It was really interesting what she was saying today, how she sees Trump as a victim and just, in front of all these victims right behind her, she wouldn't even like acknowledge it was really it was quite a show. It was quite a enjoy the show, as QAnon would say. Today was that show that you would definitely enjoy, I think. So yeah, it this will probably make history. The only thing that would not do that is if elections are ended and like there's other history that's even bigger that would overshadow what's happening today. But I think if nothing else super large happens, that would occur. So that I thought was, yeah, pretty big. We'll see what happens. I don't expect a lot. Uh, but the normies are just getting pulverized right now with maybe you shouldn't be trusting the government, and that's That's healthy, I think. So even if your government's good, there's really no reason to trust it. You can have a symbiotic relationship with something without having to trust it. I haven't said this in a while, but I want to remind you of that. Technically, you don't have to trust me. We could have a really good relationship, and you never ever actually have to trust me. It's, I think you'll find this is actually a little bit more natural that we tend to trust each other because we maybe don't have enough calories to uh, really give each other the full sovereign sort of independence. So we kind of lie to ourselves and say, well, we trust each other. And I think this is really what causes most of the loyalty things. I spoke about it today in reference to flat Earth. I didn't mean to like really single that out, but there's like a something kind of happened small like that today on Facebook that I noticed, and I was like, wow, this is basically a microcosm of the Epstein because you have a certain person maybe who's committed some pretty bad crimes, but because he's in the ballpark of people that want to hear that he's incongruent, that are saying the same things, the loyalty ends up being more of the glue than actually any kind of moral alignment. So that happens more than it doesn't. Honestly, it's not a lot of people even know who they align with. They tend to be told by others, hey, you're aligning with a pedophile or you're aligning with someone who's a liar or whatever. Only then, I think, do people tend to maybe look at adjusting their, they're only adjusting their compass because you're making it expensive for them just to be loyal. Because ultimately, if you were aligned, you would be doing that on your own. I wouldn't be able to criticize you or suggestively criticize you because that's what happened today is I'm not even like mentioning somebody. I'm talking about someone else. But then when you notice that magnet pulls everyone else in, you're kind of like, oh, well, I guess I am talking to you too. But ultimately, we don't really need to trust each other. It's actually, I think, a deeper symbiotic relationship if you realize that you don't have to trust someone to have a relationship with that. I think living with someone's a little bit different, but I'm just saying that overall, when it comes to like your interactions, we tend to think you're supposed to trust people, and and there's a little bit of that. You're in the car, you're at the stoplight, but th those are sort of more superficial. Those are more based on mutually destructive motivation than they are in trust. So that's all I got. You're muted, Renee.
Sorry, I had to go shut some doors. Nancy, you're muted. You want to say something? I just noticed that.
Oh,
Or were you
I didn't know
actually?
I didn't know I was unmuted. Yeah, Lori's hands up.
Okay, go ahead, Lori.
Sorry.
No, the live was awesome. And I found like it was like that loyalty. And then I couldn't remember the second word. When I can't remember the second word, it's really important. So I kept thinking it was like resonance or vibration or, and it was, what was it? I keep, I was like, well, it's definitely, I trust more in, that feeling of like I can trust something because a person's not trying to make me loyal and lose my connection to self. Like you feel that in your body when you're like, oh, I'm in the in crowd, but they want me to stay in this thing, but I'm not really in resonance with it. So what was the thing, James? What was the name?
Alignment?
Alignment.
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 Yeah.
I'm not saying
So
that's the perfect word, but that's
no,
just what
but
came to me today.
no, I was just thinking alignment is kind of like if you're in the puzzle piece that you need to be, and I'm in my puzzle piece, there isn't anything, it's alignment. It's like it fits. But like if it gets to this place where I have to take my puzzle piece out, I mean, that's okay. I'm going to align to something else. Maybe it's part of your hermetic ladder. You're like, whatever. But if you get into this place where it's all connected and now everything in this Epstein thing is all connected from Florida. I mean, even the Super Bowl halftime's connected to Florida. That's like the Bad Bunny. I'm like, and then it was like the Bad Bunny's lyrics bad or is the Bad Bunny's lyrics good? It was both. It was juicy, uh, the material of the thing was very, sexual innuendos, but that's not a bad thing. But it's not a good, it's like both. And then I was just thinking about that level of energy of that mixing of all of that, like Latin rhythms and all of that stuff. It was just like, and then this breaks. James, I don't think it's going to be the last one that comes out. So I'm just like, I'm super excited to hear, and I'm super excited to go on field trips to the sacred sites. I just wanted to give like, yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I actually bought a little Day of the Dead stuffy at a craft store I went to as homage to a Day of the Dead in the city, Mexico City, I believe is where we'd be traveling to. So we got some time to plan it. And yeah, totally exciting. But yeah, like everything's happening at the same time. Like I was watching a little bit of the exchange on Facebook, just a couple snippets, but I found it interesting. There was an exchange where she was having, I believe, congressmen or senators. I think Congress, James, I'm not sure, but she basically had a list for each one that was questioning her that would like a diss for them, like, oh, this will really insult them if I said, oh, you're a bad lawyer, or you made money off the stock exchange. So
yeah,
for each
the whataboutism
question,
yeah,
she had a list.
Yeah, she had a whataboutism file on everybody. No matter
Right.
what you said, she had a whataboutism. Yeah.
Oh, whataboutism. That's great. Yeah. And then there was this one guy who was asking her a question. He's like, I'm just waiting to hear what you have on me. And then I'm going to rate it from a 1 to 10, how good your what you had on me was. So, it was just like, whoa, this is like Perry Mason on steroids. And I didn't even actually like Perry Mason, but go ahead, Nancy.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. So James, it was like for about a month now, I've been contemplating loyalty and alignment. And so after your stream, I was like, it was just so empowering because I've been, just pondering these two together and where they don't. So I decided I am going to be loyal to my alignment. That's my loyalty. That's where it's going to stay. And I even told Lair, and he totally gets it. So I just want to thank everybody here. I just wonder, where would I be if I didn't have the dojo after all these years? It would be different. So thank you to everyone here. I love you.
Thank you, Nancy.
The line was meant.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. I know that this is more normie stuff. What's happening right now with like Epstein? It's kind of fucked that now Pedo Island is now normie stuff. But so forgive me for saying that, but it is true. This is like normie stuff. And the normie stuff has gotten so thick. I don't know if you guys noticed this or you saw this today, but I wanted to share this with you. This is the original Puerto Rican flag. And I want you to notice how light the blue is. It's a sky blue. It's not like a royal blue that you would see in America like this one. This is a darker blue. It's literally the only difference. It's the only difference in the flag is the shade of blue. This sky blue is revolutionary Puerto Rico. It's the Puerto Rico that wanted to be independent. And I was reading today about in 1930, they started a eugenics program there where America decided we didn't want to have Puerto Rican mothers. So they would open health clinics over there and they would offer a contraception, but the contraception was sterilization. It was the only form of contraception they had. And we look at how a lot of people in MAGA even treat, I mean, this guy's literally an American. Like it's like literally an American, but people will then break it down to, yeah, but he doesn't get to vote, or he's a territory. He's our property of America, is what people call that. And I thought it was interesting that during the Super Bowl, this was the fucking flag. That
just to add to that real quick, James.
Bad Bunny was carrying this flag. Go ahead, Brad. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just DC. You're talking about the territory, Puerto Rico. DC, yeah. You can't vote if you're. So I'm just saying that
Oh,
again.
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, it's a great point. It's he personally carried that revolutionary flag. That flag was outlawed. It was America said you can't have that flag. You need to make that blue our blue to show that we have dominance over that. So all the things that are happening right now, I think it's so much more organic than a lot of us like to give credit for. A lot of us like to think it's all controlled, but it's just watching it all erupt so fast right now. It's really cool. It's really, really exciting. I'm not expecting history to be like uh, the anatomy of Satanism and 9/11. Like, I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting this to be maybe 8 people will might be slapped with some sort of criminal complaint. Like, that's probably about it. I'm not expecting much. I'm not asking for the justice or the law to change at all. I'm just seeing the psychology of how there's no way that you could drive past this dumpster fire and not just wake up a little bit, right? That's the part that I like about it. And that part really is under our control, meaning the organic egregore of the people. And just noticing how much more willing people are to say, yeah, that's kind of fucked up is really, really, really kind of exciting right now. Even the whole Kid Rock stuff, the like the lip sync controversy, it's it's just so hilarious how no matter what you do, no matter what anyone tries to do, this white sun, it just doesn't let it happen. Like it just stops it every single time. No matter what you try and do, there's going to be something right there, just so obviously in the way. So it's a good work, Turtle Island. Really, really excited to be here right now. So
Yeah, it's almost it's like a bloom. It's like it's like we're blooming, but it's this bloom from Hades. It's a Hades bloom. It's a Pluto bloom, and it's even as we've been so like wowed or freaked out by things in the past. This is just it's beyond what I expected, I suppose. But hasn't this been what this place has been since we got here? At least definitely since 2020, 2019, when this awakening things started happening. It happened in me. I didn't know what was going on, so to feel that happening with a little bit more of, a collective view, then people just seem like they might be more afforded to look into that without being ostracized like we were. It's really different. Hi, Brad, go right ahead.
Hey, yeah, that's you talk about not seeing how, never expecting how it got here, Renee, or how, what it's going to look like. Especially because going through sort of the conspiracy circles, when you get in it, it's the doom and gloom, right? And it's like you were talking about the stream today, James, and I spot on with the loyalty versus alignment thing. I think, right? What you're looking for and what you're committed to. But the fact that you're in those modes for so long of these big satanic rituals and like what this is all going to look like, and to actually be where we are now, because I mean, all you guys and James, all the credit in the world, because I mean, I know some of y'all remember where I was at when I first walked into the room, but I mean, talk about moving a long, long way from, feelings like, well, talking about space and NASA today, right? I'm still in that mode that space, to be able to understand it on this level, and now to be in this moment where stuff is just cranking up, like, I'm just saying, as you can understand, 5 years ago, not that I'm saying I've been terrified because I was expecting it, but I would expect it to look the scary way I expected it, as opposed to sitting here watching it right now. It doesn't really look scary at all. I know people get messed up, but it it doesn't look scary even. It looks more silly, kind of like we're saying, in a lot of ways. Again, I know people don't get hurt, but like we're saying, what we're seeing just in echoing what we said before, the fact that so-called conspiracy theories, they're not niche anymore. Everybody knows all of them. So it's remarkable for me to watch. And I do wonder, as we talk about the Aquarian age, the more we tap into sort of the alignment factor, I also wonder how many fears we lose over our interpersonal relationships, particularly as far as loss goes, right? Because I felt like for me, and I think the harder the loss you go through, sort of the easier it is. And for me, I feel like one of the hard wins for me in recent years was just a cold hard exit by my daughter from my life. That's tough, but it's like when you kind of go through that, it's like, so again, I'm just kind of feel like you get to a place where um not being as afraid of loss. I think when you talk about your friendships, or however we want to put it, right? Isn't that a huge part of what loyalty is, though? Loyalty is trying to prove to somebody you won't lose me, or I won't lose you. And it's kind of like this game we play. And when we're kind of not honest in that regard, right? And we're playing for loyalty, I think we kind of short circuit a relationship and many times into early or uglily, because we're afraid of that aspect of relationships. But I think that's all I got for right now.
Yeah, I heard this recently, and people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it's like, oh yeah, that it really helps kind of categorize the seasons that I've had. And I was actually looking through some old pictures on Facebook, kind of seeing what pictures do I have on Facebook. I was like, wow, this is a lot of the girls little, a lot of my old friends, a lot of my old life. And I'm like, that was just this morning. So I was like, wow, that, lovely, wonderful people. I was really blessed to have some good friends, but the alignment just wasn't there. You know what I mean? Just different tracks. And Lori, when you're talking about the puzzle piece, we're the ones who changed our puzzle piece. It wasn't them. They stayed the same shape. We're the ones who are like, we got to find a bigger puzzle to put our piece in. So yeah, but it is a lot of emotion. It's a lot of heart. I think we're supposed to be there and feel all of that. And luckily I can access pictures that I don't even remember taking. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how we can go back and feel those feelings and have gratitude, but also have gratitude for not being there, and compassion for everyone involved, because it's, we're at a time where growth is equals, it's a good pain though. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of birthing yourself.
And put a bow on that. The other aspect, kind of what you're touching on there, Renee, is the fact that it's like also to the space where it's just complete more understanding of the people as they pass out of your lives, even if it happened in an ugly way or this kind of way. But it's like you can look sort of with fondness back and just appreciation for all of them. Hey, knowing that's like, we all have our parents, right? But it was hard for a long time with my parents. So it's kind of nice to kind of get to a space where it's like we're in a new sort of space as far as like the understanding goes, is what the relationship is, And so it can be pleasant there.
Yeah, the gauntlet of the corona was a really really good setup for this board game. I've lived here my whole life, so there was a lot of things I had to kind of like distance myself from. But because the world was shut down, it was kind of easy. Okay, Lori, go ahead.
No, I was just really relating to I don't know, something seemed to have clicked. I wrote about looking at bliss and looking what other people look like, the external bliss, like what I used to be blissful in, and I'm not blissful there anymore. And then I was like, where is bliss? And then I did that part too, because James like came back and said, well, maybe bliss is in the lonely, maybe it's found in the longing, in that longing and the longing to belong. When your puzzle piece gets taken and you took it out. I have a similar thing to Brad, but my daughter kind of texts me, but the alignment, it's aligned because we love each other, but there's the loyalty doesn't feel like. It's scary when a child doesn't you don't feel like you've lost your loyalty. And yet it's the most freeing thing, because I have loyalty to myself. And so she can't control me like she used to with the grandchildren and all of that. And so it's just like getting to that level of finding this inner compass, like I'm my own cartographer now. I'm making my own cosmology. And I think the lonely is the path to, you don't, like, I come here and I feel seen and I don't feel schizophrenic anymore. I was close to schizophrenic before I came here. I was like, I don't fit to any puzzle anymore. So, just really wanted to thank James for witnessing, and all of y'all for witnessing me. And thank you, Renee, for moderating. I love when you moderate. So it's good to see you here moderating. So,
Oh, good. I know if I was like, man, if I don't make it back in time, or, so it's nice to be able to like, have each other's back. But yeah, Wednesday works really good for me. Hi, Spencer, go right ahead.
Hey y'all. Um, hi. There's so many things I like want to get out, but I always kind of first off, like I totally agree with you, Lori, that like prior to like re-finding James at some point, like if in the last year, it was like I really was like trying to find the thing where I could feel like I could hear what someone was talking about and not have to I watched your whole stream today as I was driving around and stuff. So like it was hitting on so many different levels of like along the way. Like I love the way you kind of like say like who kind of drug you in this parking lot of like truth isms or open your mind to like it's like and the way I say things like it's like we all at some point I'm like the the jet fuel isn't gonna melt the steel beams kind of thing. You like these first kind of things that you're, and then like then you find yourself in these dead ends where it's just like it's all lizard people, pedophiles, and then like I'll yell about that, but then there's a part of me that's like, what about like the hallucinations of like the archetypes and just like all of the other nuance to things, and you bring that up to someone else who's in that thing and they're like no, like it's the earth is flat, the moon is fake, all these things, and it's like it's such a relief. Basically what I'm trying to say is like it's such a relief to get here at times. And today it was cool because like I didn't even know any of that shit happened with whoever that lady is. I saw like a meme, so I guess I like kind of saw that something had happened. But and like I in the morning I try to go to the gym for like at least a short period of time, and it has the TVs on, and like even just seeing on the TV like press secretary, like it just brings up so much violence in me to like want to like hurt people like that. And and that's fine to like not act on that, but it's like that's what seeing these people playing their silly game, it just like brings that up. And I'm in South Jersey, and I had the unfortunate experience today of having to go into Philadelphia. So like went into Philadelphia, and just like as I was driving down this one road, they're like there's just fire trucks like setting up their ladders across the street at like every overpass, because and like as I'm driving I can't even comprehend what I'm driving through, because a Camden City fireman somehow, when they were cleaning the boat or something the other day, got caught under the ice and drowned and died or something. So like it was this huge funeral procession that I like was driving kind of through as they were setting up, which was like got me thinking about just life and death and past stuff that like so in my life I was a car mechanic and truck mechanic, and I went to a different shop at some point, and my friend Noah went to a different shop, and Noah, an accident happened, and a RV like fell on him and killed him, like at work, and like that was a moment for me where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and like his name being Noah, like it was like in some way like an arc of something like out of that world for me. So that's like part of this thing, and like he was on my mind because of the other guy's funeral. And I love like you think of these people, and like I saw a I don't know exactly, it was a yellow bird. Like I usually don't see a yellow bird around here as much, and I saw the yellow birds, which was always kind of makes you think of like you see birds and they're spirited or in some way. And it's really cool to like feel more aligned than ever, but totally like kind of separated from so much in a lot of ways too. Where like a lot of stuff you were saying was just like it was like you have such a good way of kind of just talking to me in some ways, or like you're just talking to the person that needs to hear what you're saying. And like I love that you get that you're doing that, and I want to do that, and I want to transmit the stuff that I was for some reason put here to transmit. And it's just like, yeah, it's really cool to be able to like, I don't know, kind of unload some of this stuff, because there is just like so much crap that like you see so many posts. That's why I posted that thing in the chat, because like I just saw all these posts about like water and AI, and then I just saw someone's post, Bad Bunny's first financial backers being like narco terrorists, and like being like the Venezuelan vice president person, and all these like tying in all these things. And it's like that was cool in the 90s for like gangster rap to be talking about like all that like drugs and guns and stuff. And now it's like you have this guy just talking about girls who's actually possibly backed by Venezuelan narco terrorists. And that's, people have a problem with that all of a sudden, where it's just like it's a funny place that we are at, where again, like so many things, like my dad even kind of, when this, and my that's the reason I am the way that like I am, is like my dad. I'm so fortunate that he is just, like a really intelligent person and can see a lot of stuff, and like even gave me a little bit of props. He was like, man, it was like well over 10 years ago you told me about some like Corey Feldman and the some kind of pedo stuff back then. And I was just like, like it's been going around, I guess. And it's like the normies and people are finally kind of catching on to stuff that like we or some people have just known is what goes on in the jungle. And a lot of stuff you said in another stream got me thinking of like looking into that idea of like the boogeyman, or like the lore behind just like kids being disappeared, that's been going on for since ancient times. And that has just kind of been the not talked about in generations now, that they act as if that just shouldn't happen, when that's always kind of been the thing that's been happening. And those kind of things, like just like you said, like the they're cannibalizing each other, acting like the jungle like isn't real. And which is opening up to these ideas too. It's just it's all just great. And it feels just really confirming of a lot of this. That's like the voices in the back of my head that like, I should
What?
think these things or say these things, because they're not going to come out to, they're not going to be heard by the 96% or whatever of people that are just going to kind of align or be really loyal to stop signs and red lights and paint on the ground. Because that's like, I trust that I can look both ways and go when there's no one around. Like, what is the paint on the ground or the light like really doing there? And then people see me do that, and they get on my ass, and they're like following me all angry because I did something that like we all could do, and there was a victimless crime, I guess. And I don't know where I was going with any of that, but that was kind of like the whole gist of a lot of things that I would like to just kind of expand on all y'all. And I thank you for listening to me. So
Thank you.
I'll let y'all have it.
I wanna throw one thing out that I know there's another hand up. I'm looking forward to hearing from Dark Bloom, but I want to say when you first come here, almost everyone tells you these pedophiles are elite. They're super smart. They're hyper intelligent. They're 1,000 years ahead of you. They have all the technology. They live longer than you. They're immortal. They have multiple sex organs. I mean, even I say that. And it's like you combine all these things and we create a supervillain. And we say that supervillain's in charge. And when we do that, supervillains end up in charge. But I want you to remember that the people at the top, it's you need to think about this like Lance Armstrong. You need to think about this like dopers. You just need to see that every industry is going to have a doper that's going to evacuate themselves or is already evacuated, and so it gives them an advantage to where they can just prey on the loyalty of something. And I'm only saying this because I feel I've never felt more confident about how weak this elite pedophile network is. And I used to never be able to even have a conversation with people about that. That was like sacrilegious to discuss that these were weak beings. And I really, really appreciate what's happening now because I want you to picture, if you didn't read Lori's Substack, I think you should because Lori was perfectly framed the idea of seeing bliss in someone else and feeling like there was a lack in you. This idea that, wow, that person is so blissfully creating art. Why don't I have that? That feeling of why I don't have that is actually a good, that's what they have too. Everyone who's elite has that. It's what you do with that that changes things. If you look at this place like a fluorescent jungle, when you enter into pedophile Costco, I'm not saying Costco's pedophile, but when you enter into like regular culture, it's surrounded with fluorescent lights, and that gives this impression that nothing evil's taking place because we've got stop signs and all the other stuff. You end up venerating whoever's in charge, and you do what anyone does. You give more power to your enemy. It's a way of preparing for things. But if you look at this world like a garden, if you approach it from this true dojo earth, then every experience you have, even if it's watching, I was in the doctor's office and they're showing Epstein pedophile on the television. It doesn't have to gross you out because this is Mutual of Omaha. If you're not old enough, look that up. Well, it's not going to help. It's Steve Irwin. It's it's Mr. Green Jeans. Pick a wildlife show. And I want you to say that's what you're doing. You're watching a wildlife show because it becomes much more it becomes less calorific. You don't lose as many calories because you don't actually feel that there's something wrong. It's that creeping in of something's wrong. Kind of like with Lori, I'm not putting this on her, but it's like the idea of why don't I have bliss? You don't have bliss because you're seeing, I can have more bliss. When you see someone else who's painting and you're like, wow, that person has bliss, you are literally becoming more blissful. You may not feel bliss during that process because you're stretching, you're expanding, your muscles are being ripped, your bliss muscles are being ripped, but your longing for bliss is the only physical sign of growth. Your longing for everyone to see what is happening is your personal sign of wanting to, how do you see it more? When I was younger and was like, the earth is flat, you're so fucking pedophiles, satanic, everyone's losing their senses. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it without losing calories. And the only way I could see it without losing calories is to solicit loyalty from people who would agree with me. And this is healthy. It's not sustainable, but it doesn't mean it's not healthy. You will find ways to trip yourself over the line. You will find ways to trespass. I like to use this excuse a lot. Find the people you want to be around, trespass against them. Create an imposter. Imposter yourself among them. Pretend to be them, act like them, do all the devious things you're not supposed to do. Feel guilty because you're going to be caught. Feel this idea of I may be exposed. That's always going to be growth. That's always going to be the place where you are optimizing yourself at maximum potential to expand more because you're constantly intimidated, but you're intimidated by people that you want to emulate. You're not intimidated by an invisible boogeyman that you said controls the world. So you can really start to see 95% of the truthers out there are actually having a very different psychological experience than you may want to have yourself. You may actually want to grow, but you're trying to grow in a coven of people that don't want that want the powerful to be more powerful, that want you thinking maybe it's not as nefarious as being a sin. It's hearsay, heresy, excuse me, to say maybe these controllers aren't nefarious. It's heresy to say maybe the ego isn't bad. It's heresy to say maybe being rich isn't necessarily something that makes you an evil person. Maybe we are just hating our success, so we denigrate the rich so that we will never have to look at ourselves as lacking in that capacity. Because that gaining of that would be our spoiling of evil, our uh, Luciferian indoctrination into the bad guys. It's so convenient. It's so convenient when you start to really look at the lens of who do we hate? Why do we hate him? What the fuck? I hate him for that? Because it makes no sense at all. And then you start seeing the loyalty around you. And this is where most people are like, I don't want to do this. I want more people in my tribe, not less. So I'm not going to see this about this, or I'm not going to see this about that. I think you get it. But I want you to notice the next time you feel uncomfortable, this is why you're here. You do not deserve to feel uncomfortable. Even when you're in shame, you deserve to feel maximum potency. It's not discomfort. That is, my God, I feel really ashamed. It's, my God, I feel really inspired. My God, I feel really afraid. My God, I feel really longing to have more bliss. The passion is there. The passion is in the embarrassment. There's the red pheasant. The things that you feel shame about, that's it. That's all the gold right there. And the more you're reaching into that, we are cooking now. We are really cooking now. And it's changed in the world. The world is changing. I'm not trying to say we're doing it, but we're probably doing it. We probably are. We're probably doing it. And I don't want you to feel pressure, but you're literally charging the whole fucking world right now. And I think stuff like that's important because it's so addictive, especially right now. It's so addictive. People see this and they're like, fuck, why don't I have that bliss? It's like, you do have that bliss. You seeing that you don't have bliss is bliss because you have a deep capacity to have more fucking bliss. If you didn't have that capacity, you'd be like, hey, I'm having more fun than they are. No, you're not. You're striving to have more fun. And the only way you see it is you'd be having this longing loop, this addiction to this feeling of I don't have enough. That's a good feeling, guys. This is a good feeling. Now you're entitled. And that's all the work. So that's all I got. Except for thanks for the shares, Spencer.
And thank you so much. Because like the thing is, like, I was like sick last year. Like, and I'm reading back some of the journal posts I made, like, were some of the worst, lowest things I've like ever written. And I was like reading them back recently, like just reminiscing. I'm like, there were still these points where it like there was that was almost like I knew how awesome and great it was to be that sick and bad off, because like I am now at like a way better point, and just having the I don't know what you could call it, but like that part of it where like just getting to be feeling like yes, I want more, and I want more by pushing into those things that I feel ashamed about, and pushing into those things I feel wrong for thinking or being or doing, and just getting excited about it. And so yeah, thank you. That's just like, and all of you too. It's like all of us are doing that, and we are just like beaming as much coherence or whatever you could call it out there to in those spaces to like for everybody else.
I'll just say this one more thing, which is that maybe some of you have let it creep in that your life isn't always supposed to be like really lit or really like present. That's a lie. And we tend to try and phone it in. Well, I'm at a red light. I'm not supposed to be excited. No, you really fucking are. You really are. This red light is fucking exciting as fuck. You're missing it. And if you all you need to do is long for it. That's all you got to do is feel like, hey, I kind of suck right now. Well, why do you suck? I'm at a red light and I feel mundane. I'm at the DMV and I'm bored. I want you to complain about it. Because when you do, you start to say, well, wait, but I feel like I should, yeah, I think you should be lit at this red light. What do I be lit about? And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It could be the AM station you never turn to. It could be the light itself. It could be your breath, just your fucking breath. It could be your realization. I once laid on my bed once 2 years ago. I just want to remind myself of this. I laid down on my bed 2 years ago, middle of the day. I was just feeling really good, and I just started just breathing. I was just like, oh, this feels really good. I just started having ecstasy. It was like felt like I was having an orgasm. There's nothing about it was sexual, but I felt that something came over me. I was like, why is this so good? Why does this feel so good? Why does this fucking feel so good? What are you doing? How do I remember this? What I was doing was just breathing. Just laying down on my back, breathing. I wasn't wearing any special golden robes. I wasn't nothing playing or chanting. None of that. It was like a Tuesday, you know? It was like 1:37. It wasn't even like an important time, you know? It's that this is the white sun. This is Aquarius. It's your personal vibe. It shapes the rest of your cosmology. It really is the only joystick you need. I just wanted to add that on. Thanks.
Good stuff. Hey, Dark Bloom, your hand went back down, but we'd love to have you comment if when you're ready and up to it. I see that you're unmuted.
I'm gonna go slow because I'm a slow kind of person, but I just wanted to say that this discussion of alignment versus loyalty, I think it's important. I appreciated it. I think when we're talking about alignment, what I'm hearing is this is sacred witness. This is being truly perceived, because alignment is looking for frequency in order to decide if this is the entrainment that we want to move with. Loyalty is kind of this blind subscription to something, and throughout the better part of the entire time that I've listened to this show and you all and the skates and the airships and everybody's comments, it's always been more about not being certain of what we do know, but what we don't know, and then moving from this place to expand, which is greatly appreciated. Because if you look at, we'll just call them social media gurus at this point in time, everybody's sure that they know, that they know, that they know. And it's like, dude, how could you? How could you really? And hearing, especially once things started to get into cellular hallucination. I don't know if many of you are this way, but I dream very vividly. And because I dream very vividly, cellular hallucination speaks to me because my body and my brain are responding the same way it would as if this moment is happening right now. So there's this potency in that, but there's also so much responsibility too, that you are responsible for your hallucination and your cosmology and what you're creating, how much power you're giving these elitists, as opposed to kind of coming out and saying, no, guys, they're really doing this unconsciously. They're not as smart as you think they are. They're really this tool of Gaia, um, who's unconsciously moving the waters so that our consciousness grows. And I appreciate that. I appreciate being able to find that and hear that and, spend, I mean, it's not quite 10 years, but 2019, so almost just moving through that. And it's always been about growth. And this for me right now, like being present in ones and zeros versus physical presence. Ones and zeros is it's got more pressure, it's more loud, it's more of that loyalty, less of that alignment. So I appreciate y'all being patient with me. And I appreciate the fact that people come together and say, hey, businesses might be about loyalty. I'm pretty sure James said this today, but tribe is about alignment. And in alignment, there is respect, reciprocity, symbiosis, these things that actually build one another to be sovereign, but in a symbiotic way. So thank you all. Physical meetups are also probably the way of the future. I think humanity's moving towards a different type of community at this point, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciated it, Dark Bloom. Yeah, 2019 for you as well. It's interesting that 19 was a big year. Me coming online, which I didn't even know existed. Obviously, I knew laptops, but I was like, what is online? So it's COVID-19, 2019, Great Awakening. It's all rhyming, guys. Hey, Brad, go right ahead.
Before, just real quick, before that, it was like the summer, and somehow he got suggested to me through the algorithm, which was amazingly probably, which would not happen now, except for the fact that I engage with the show. So yeah.
Okay. Are you saying, Derek, that you found James's work in 2019, or that you kind of came into more of an awakened state in 2019? I guess
No, I found him on YouTube, and I was looking at different people talking about different things, and I was like, some of them, they're like, I'm so sure, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's cool. Even with his work since 2019,
Yeah,
I found.
that's the confidence. I'm sorry, Renee.
Oh, go ahead. I was 2020. So
That's the confidence thing. I think we really value confidence. And so, I mean, I think ultimately you move yourself more into alignment, but until you know yourself, I think that the most important thing you could learn is confidence. And so we tend to worship confidence people when we're in that stage. And the only way you could really worship that is through loyalty. And I think people maybe are hoping if I show enough loyalty, I will become that confidence. And ultimately, that I just described to you how the Senate works. Like, I just told you how it works. You can't just like go to Washington. You have to go and put your knee pads on, and you got to do some things in order to get on a committee before you could even get reelected again. So the indoctrination is very much there. So first you learn confidence because your cosmology, your belief needs a really potent placebo. You listen to others that have confidence, it doesn't really matter what the fuck they say. You're studying their confidence. And I think this is why people don't necessarily reject a person when their ideas maybe are proven to be false, because they're not really there for the ideas. They're really there to say, can you show me a higher, a stronger form of confidence? Because if so, I would like to learn that. And the only way I know to have this prana economy conversation with you is we're going to discuss the subject of black goo or flat earth or the space program. All three of those will be ways of conveying confidence about something no one knows, which would be the only way to test their confidence. You need to have a matrix of belief so you can measure the potency that someone has. So ultimately, we're confidence shopping. And if you look at the model as Dojo Earth, especially a cellular hallucination, fuck, that makes sense. That's smart. Like that's really intelligent. All we've really done is over associated into the words, not the person behind it. And I think once we start to see that, all of the pop icons, all of the reality television that we're like, why are we watching this? Makes a lot more sense because we're watching that confidence. We're watching that work because we want to learn that because that's the skill our cosmology needs deep down inside. The ideas are just distractions. That's all I got. Thanks.
Mm. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
No, what you got?
Oh, I was just, hearkening back to as I grew my confidence in, say, making my own videos for my own channel, just because I had something to say. This would be early 2020. That did just breed more. I just have more things to say. I got more practice. Years go by. I have 500 videos. I have, it's just a matter of just getting off and speaking your piece at that moment and being. It was always an urge, like I'm going to make a video right now. It was very instantaneous, no planning. Like it's happening now. So that was a great confidence builder. Even though I don't get many likes or many views, it's still like I feel good about it, and that's all that matters, right? Okay, go ahead,
That's
Chris.
right, baby. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
See, hey, look, you gotta fake it to make it, right? Everybody knows this. I mean, that's what to say. You come out the gate. If you come out the gate ultra confident in yourself, you're probably not that freaking bright because I'm just, let's be honest. So in terms of if you have a little bit of self-awareness, confidence is something you probably have to work at, right? And it is kind of like you work confidence up in levels. And again, just echoing everything we're saying about the reason you search for it in the world, the reason you're attracted to it in others is because you want it in yourself. The fun thing about going through, put it this way, when you get to the point of understanding, let's just say to the Luciferian level of things, of oh, all the powerful people aren't evil. It's this. It's because you have to get to that understanding where you realize, oh, you aren't supposed to wake anybody up. You're not supposed to save anybody. You're not supposed to do any of that. And when you first get into the truth movement or whatever, or you're first feeling that irritation that you don't like the world is, your first inclination, I know mine was, how am I going to wake all these people up? And the more time you spend in that, and you don't realize what a disservice you're doing to them and to yourself because you don't understand how it works yet, right? You get so frustrated, and that's how we hold on to the dynamic that it's the elite. They must be the evil ones because they couldn't understand on the level that it takes us the time to get there, and we have to go through it. And as we go through it, and you finally start to understand that very big principle, it's like not only is it not your responsibility to wake anybody up or to save anybody or any of this stuff, it's a disservice to force that on anybody. People come to it on their own, and that's where you learn the compassion on the as you move up to, is you compassionate that we all need these stepping stones. We just do. We need to practice confidence in these levels. Some places where I tend to, the last places where my frustration tends to settle in, it is in people who posture that they're trying to grow, but very clearly they're just trying to rut in. And it's just kind of like miss me with that, because if you're just at a level, so we're talking about, I know normies like to come. If someone's happy being a normie, why would I have a problem with them? Like, why would I hate that? Like, why I don't anymore. I used to, but as you understand what I'm saying, as you go through this, you don't anymore. And the ones that kind of irk you at the last are those who are pretending, oh, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to go. And all they're doing is mimicking what they're seeing other people doing. And James, I hear what you said earlier. That is the appropriate way to move into it. But I guess you hear what I'm saying is sometimes that's the last place my patience get tested, is like, if
But this is how you learn. This is how you learn to roller skate, right? This is the first thing is going to be, well, I need to have confidence. I don't know what words mean yet. So, but I really want to have confidence. And so you just look for the first confidence thing, the confident thing you see, and you just start tweeting back to them. What did you just say? Frankincense. Okay, frankincense. So you're agreeing with them because you're trying to pick up that confidence. None of this requires any of this to be real. You see how beautiful cellular hallucination is because you can look at the prawn economy of it. You can see it as fuck. This is just about how do I hold my spine? How do I got to relax, but also have a little bit of tension, but just in the right, like it's you're tuning a bowstring, and
Yeah.
that bowstring is based on the vibe. It's the only way it's too many vertebrae. You're not going to be able to intellectually do this. It's going to have to be a, what do I sound like? I need to, how does that feel when I sing that note? What is the other resonance around me? That's it first. You're playing because you've got the metronome. God, I hate those fucking things, but until you learn until you learn beat, right? You need that metronome, and it's just clocking you just like, would you shut the fuck up? I want to make music. And it's like, well, do it. You even if your rhythm isn't exactly 4/4 time, just be there. Fucking be there. Because you'll find that you just invented jazz. Way to go. You literally invented, hey, I fucking was lazy on that third note. What do you know? Let's call that jazz. Let's just keep doing that. And that's all confidence. It's not
Yeah.
accurate. It's confident. So yeah.
I mean, I know that from playing gigs, that same aspect you're talking about. If you hit a missed note and act like you meant it, it's the truest thing in the world. Like it just and I've done it a couple times before where I'll go back and hit the same missed note again just to make that point, mind you, to myself, not to the audience. The I was going to say one other thing about like sort of our personal journeys that you go through, and one of the stages I think you have to do go through, because I think that's kind of what you were touching on today, James, about the loyalty versus alignment. Is like if you're going to really choose your own self alignment, you're going to have some time in the wilderness, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to have to stand in that. And for me, it's funny. A lot of y'all was talking about 2019. I guess I hit a point where I was kind of frustrated that I was like I'd been through all the sort of rabbit holes or whatever you want to call it, and I just was in that point where I was like, "There's no answers here. All I'm doing is watching, just nothing I can do." So I guess where I got kind of frustrated, and I kind of tuned out of it. And so when 2020 happened, I was watching the world from the outside, and I'd kind of got off social media and all this kind of stuff. So for me, when I came back around and started to watch it again, because at the time I was still afraid of AI and the man and watching this kind of way, so I wouldn't engage. So when I came back and started engaging with the quote unquote truth movement at that point, starting actually just engaging comment sections and all this, it's funny because when I came back in, it was at a point where I wasn't looking for gurus anymore. I had been before, and I kept when I got disillusioned because no one had the answers. When I came back in, it was just like, okay, well, let me just sort of play around with this. Long story short, that led me to meeting all you guys. We all know how this goes. But I kind of lost the train of thought on that one. But the last thing I did want to say, you mentioned, James, because I really am excited about this, the meetups, the Mexico City and things like that. Oh, it's fucking, yeah, I'm dying to get down to Mexico. I was want to, like, not just Mexico City, but all the places you're talking about, like even the Parthenon and Athens and stuff like that. Just echoing what you're saying, man. I want to.
Yeah. Well, good. So when I was in Astronosis, the first Astronosis I did, the producer of that was from Mexico City. And a lot of my presentation was, dealing with the Aztec stuff. And he really seemed to resonate with that. And after that, he came up to me and he said, if you ever want to come to Mexico City, you have to talk to me about it. And so it really could be a really special meetup. So if you
I'm
think
excited
about
about
the Day of the Dead is basically that Halloween era, and there's some really cool stuff going on there uh, during that time. So yeah, it could be a perfect opportunity to. And I want to go see Coatlicue. I wrote so much about that statue. I'd love to just kind of be in the room with it and go, hey, I wrote about you. Do you know me? My name's James. How's it going? So yeah, there'll be lots to do there. Lots to do. So I'll let you guys know. I'll be reaching out to him. I'm actually talking to Miguel next week, so I'll ask that guy's name because I don't know his name, and I'll let you know from there where it goes. So glad to see people are interested. It sounds like a lot of fun though.
Yeah, very, very, very exciting times. Yeah, so we have a Birdie. Birdie, go right ahead. Nice to see you.
Well, my goodness. Look at all of us. I'm so thrilled to see people. I've been following James since 2016, and this is incredible because we are definitely coming together as a tribe, and I didn't know what it would look like, but now I'm seeing it. James said something today about reconciling that darkness. And I just wanted to kind of go and ask everybody their questions about when you really get to a stage of reconciling that darkness, it feels like a complete and absolute freedom. But I don't know if I'm kidding myself. Like a complete detachment, but not detached. Does that make any sense?
Give me a little bit more. So detaching that when we accept the darkness or what? Yeah, go right. Can you
It,
speak
it
again.
it feels like when he, today I think I was more triggered to jump in tonight when he said, we're kind of in a rush for time. The time is now. The time is now for the tribes to build, to make it look like what it is. Because I think that there's a layer or a tribe like us that is holding the space, whatever you want to call it, filling the gaps, being the million points of light throughout the world. And I have shed that. I have reconciled that darkness like that. The hardest work I ever did was understanding what, all the differences between Ahriman and Lucifer and Beelzebub and all of these different characters of this darkness that just float around us. And once you kind of see it as these characters, you look at what they call these elites or these, baby eaters or whatever we're going to call them. And they're completely powerless. They're just powerless. And you're looking at it and you're like, I should really be affected by this, but I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really strange buildings of release, and it feels really great.
I see a lot of weakness. I see a lot of weakness in these people that are
Yeah.
powerful. Like they're weak. Fuck. This
That's
is
kind of
yeah. But Bertie, I hear you, man. Good takes. Go
um
ahead.
when I first started studying Moloch, I was like, so let me get this straight. A long time ago, people were throwing babies into this flaming brazen bronze thing and like going, woo, yay, look at me. I just threw my baby in after giving birth to it for 9 months, and I was just like, how do I compassionate this? And I started reading and I was like, wow, this shit really happened. Like I don't mean shit to
Yeah.
disrespect, but there's all these like clay jars. And I was like, well, wait a minute. If you were to burn your baby in the brazen fire, why would you put it in a clay jar and honor it? Why would you do that? Because the truther told me that they did this because they're evil and they hate babies. Blah, 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 blah. And then I just started compassionating. James, why would you put a baby in a copper brazen Moloch? Why would you do that? And at first, I couldn't think of it. It took me weeks, took me, I don't know, a long time. And I started to realize the only way I would do that is if I could not take care of the baby. And then you start reading
Oh, that's
about
good.
Rome. You start reading about pyres that were placed sometimes outside of villages. These pyres were built to abandon children, but the abandonment was also not necessarily, I don't want anyone else to have this baby. It was, I can't have this baby. Maybe someone else will. And a lot of those early pyres weren't on fire. They were, I want you to think about how much more evil it would be if you were just throwing that baby in the trash. That if you're going to go to a sacred site of Moloch and place this baby on this altar and leave it there, you are absolving yourself of something you do not have the power to raise or you think so, but you're also giving it to the gods in hopes that something better will come along. And we do not have the mindset to even think in that kind of
No, no,
rudimentary survival way. Do you understand what I mean? That kind of
absolutely.
psychology is so beyond us.
When we start thinking of ancient times like this, they didn't think the way we think.
Yeah.
Everything was different.
So all the Moloch worshipers technically were coming from a place of desperation and weakness, coming from a place of, I cannot afford to live this kind of life. I have to do something else. And that's a place of weakness. That's not a place of elite. The devil worshippers of old were even weaker. They were even more feeble. And this is the true definition of evil. Forgive me for saying it again. Evil never meant American Psycho, Armani suit, Les Wexner, trillionaire. That word evil never meant that. Evil
Right.
was feeble. Evil meant incapable of doing anything good. It did not mean dastardly wicking their wax mustache. It was always a lack of ability to be considered good at something. And we've romanticized that. And I think if you look at why we romanticize that, you will unlock some of the deepest shame psychology that's surrounding you because you'll understand why we have to have scapegoats, why we have to have evil, and why we have to elevate it because it gives us this inflammatory response to not do shit, to not improve. Because the elite are so outgunning us, it would be pointless to do so. It's awfully convenient. And until we start to notice most of our psychology is, I'm sorry, all of our psychology is built on convenience. None of this really is going to make sense. You're not going to be able to honestly have a litmus to look at humanity until you can start to count every calorie and start to realize, oh, this person has a lack of calories. They're not evil. They
Yeah.
just don't have enough. And this is how you act. This is how I would act if I didn't have enough. And that's
It
hard
neutral.
to compassionate. Go ahead.
Well, if you can actually neutralize that fury, I know when we first started like going through the Podesta stuff a long, long time ago, that fury that overtakes you. I can remember walking outside in like 2017 and shaking my fist at the sky, just saying, we're going to have to burn this fucker down because it is rotten to the core. And you're in an absolute state of despair at this point. Everything, your paradigm is gone. Your illusions of the world are shattered. And you're just so over it. And you're like, how am I ever going to reconcile this? And the only peace I found was understand, I went into Rudolf Steiner for like 7 years. And just to understand this layer of darkness that, my God, it's the best lesson in the world for our souls. Our souls are just growing at these, unexplainable rates going through this. I don't know. I'm so fascinated. I'm so thankful that people say it's, what a great time to be alive. And I have to agree. Uh, Now that Terrence McKenna actually makes sense to me, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Even if you start to unlock sadism, like if you
Oh,
really
yeah.
start to compassionate sadism, I'm sorry to say it, but you're going to find that this is a pleasure-seeking psychology. And that even though it's called sadism or masochism, these are active uh, experiences that people are wanting to participate in, which would be the very opposite of evil. It's a consensual relationship with a certain psychology, a certain neurological thing that's happening. And there are millions of years of epigenetic history that
Yeah.
could easily explain why someone is acting this way right now. It's none of this is justification, but It's more to remind people the world doesn't need to be justified. This idea that why would God insert pain into the world is a faulty argument to try and disprove God or to disprove the goodness of it. That hurts itself is a much more fundamental measure of seeing, not a measure of how good the world is. It's a measure of how deeply can you perceive the world. And it would require painful experiences that only some of us could see to really understand this matrix, that we live in. So it all comes back to consciousness, like we keep saying. So
Yeah, it really does. Really does. Plasma. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. It's great to see that there's other like minds.
It really is. Thanks, Birdie.
Sure.
I'm gonna lower your hand for you.
Thank you.
Nancy, I'm all confused. Go ahead, Nancy.
So I wanted to share. So after the scapegoat was risen, right after that, my in-law was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and Colleen, who is her daughter, she's an only child. They live like 3 hours away, so they had to move her up here. Well, first she had to be in the hospital. She had lost so much weight because she couldn't eat and didn't tell anybody anything. They had to put a feeding tube in her. So now she's at Colleen's. They're feeding her through a tube to get her strong enough to do the treatments, which just puts you back in the. So anyway, that happened. And I just had a lot of compassion. Her name is Jean. And I thought, would she maybe when that part of it starts, if she's going to have like chemo or whatever, I could, because I already know what she's going to go through, right? Oh my God. I had this flood of tears and like just goosebumps. It was like, and I'm like, what the hell's I'm like thinking I'd like to maybe support this person. And I actually asked AI because I'm like, what? And it said it was beautiful. I hadn't grieved yet. And it usually takes about a year after the process that I went through. I didn't know where these tears, and it was I was grieving, and it'll be a year on the 17th.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like so proud of myself. And I'll tell you guys, nothing's stopping me. I can't. I won't. I mean, it's like, how can we get this far? And like, okay, I'm just going to be loyal again. Not even I have had to process attachments like to children. Like Lori, you've been such a beautiful witness and example for that. This is the time where we can just take all our power, we just give it back to ourselves. And I think that's going to be the power, the more confident we get. Because I feel like I'm in my spirit, I'm like, Nance, there's people going to be freaking out soon. Because I think we're going to see a lot more collapsing, of course. So I feel like I'm being like, I mean, my agencies are doing it. It's like, okay, we got to get really confident now so that I can be like this, not bliss, but like this calm in this crazy storm. And I feel grateful that I can actually, I have the confidence to do that. I wouldn't have had that 5-6 years ago. Oh, I wouldn't have been, I didn't know any of this 5 years ago. But anyway, I wouldn't be here right now if I hadn't gone through every single thing that was so hard. And just coming back to me, it's just been the biggest gift. And I have a precious dog. She's medium size. She's just gorgeous. Every day she's happy and thrilled about everything again. Every day. She's, everything's like you were saying, James. She's happy about every single thing. And I'm like, I want that. She just is herself. And the joy and the enthusiasm is just always in there. So she's been like a real help because like, wow, she's always in the moment, present moment. And that's been the challenge for me. About 10-12 years ago, I was looking outside of myself. Well, what can I do to feel better? And got into the whole meditation thing, and I tried a couple things, and it really wasn't doing much. And then I remember it was the algorithm. I clicked on this guy that had an addiction to meditation, to meditating. He meditated to escape hours. I'm like, well, I don't want that. So that was like, thank you, because I didn't know it then, but I would have been great at that, for a while, until I got, anyway, I just thought that was really funny that
Yeah, you'd be
my
surprised.
agent just came in and said, oh no, we can't be meditating.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, I think, how many times people that we look up to that are doing things that we want to do, we're actually just impressed with their addiction. That they're just addicted to it, and so they do it well because they're addicted to it. And so we think that they've mastered that when in fact they're just deep in addiction. And honestly, I think it's kind of like longing when you see people in love because you're wow, look at just how into that they are. And this is coming back to this bliss motif about where your entitlement is, how much you feel that you deserve to really even be into something. So even the addictions are like a sign of practiced entitlement that's working on getting on its feet. That maybe is having a little bit too much issue with gluttony or with whatever to get the posture just right. But ultimately, the tangent's pointing in the vector's pointing in the right way because they're wanting to be immersed in something again. And it's a very special thing to have a passion that you can lose track of time in. When I come here to my dad's house, my dad doesn't do anything spontaneous. And in fact, it causes him nervousness when I say, "Well, I'm going to go over there." He's like, "Well, where are you going?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just going to go." What do you mean you don't know? It's like, what do you mean I need to know? Like, why? I'm not hiding anything from you. I honestly don't know what's about to happen, and I'm actively going to that place where I don't know what's going to happen. That's what I'm doing. I don't. How do I explain this to you? You can't. You can't. This is not something you're going to explain. It's going to be something that you do because you have the bliss, because you have the entitlement to do that. And it's never going to be tangibly, I'll give you a good reason. There's never going to be a good reason. It goes against the very nature of what reason is and planning and everything else.
Yep. Thanks, James. Lori, your hand is up again. The birthday month girl. Hello.
Well, dang, every time I have like the thing, and then it was like, this stuff is so good. Nancy shares like, just, like, but I was like getting to that, like this thing about, I got to this place where that shame attack happened, and those dark places that Bertie was talking about, alchemizing. I've been a conspiracy theorist for like 20 something years. So it's like, I've been like, don't necessarily see my own power. And it's kind of like, that's kind of innocence or something. I kind of like it. It's kind of like this naive thing. But then it stops me from being really outwardly creative. Like, and then when I started seeing James kind of just whatever it was like spontaneous. I was like, dang, that's so inspiring. And then Renee out there doing that. And I was like, well, then I started writing. And so when I do this writing thing, and it's really hard for me to put it out because it's like an exposure, like it feels like a weakness, but it's actually a superpower. When I did that one about looking at the bliss on, and I was just like, it was so painful inside of myself, this looking internally for something that I see in externally in other people. And I was like, but once I did it and I got that level of witness for the crappiest feeling, it was like a validation to this shadow that was just, this casting the shadow. So like making a video that isn't like premeditated. Like I bought myself shoes. I made this video about getting these shoes for my birthday. And I was just like, okay, so instead of being in this like I have to look perfect. And I think James, one of his lives was really, and it was like, imagine being a person that's given all this, like, I Enkidu and Gilgamesh. I'm like, that was a freaking, I mean, that needs to go on public freaking television. That's how I feel about James's work. And then I was like, and then he gets people telling him he should not shave his beard. I mean, it's just like, that is like, for me, I'm like, James is my hero in so many ways. Not that I'm trying to like, but the way that you have presented it time and time again with this crazy ass, like whatever the people have to do. And I'm like, well, they're not, it's like the inability but it's all paid off for me because it's inspired me no matter what anyone else says. What they do all say is that I'm freaking authentic. And that is the only thing. I really want to just be me, and whatever that is. And I love that these new people like came on tonight and spoke, and it was just like, I just want to say thank you for coming. I just really am inspired that y'all have been listening to James for all these years and you came on tonight, and I'm just over the moon, like grateful. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Lori. I saw that little video. I was smiling from ear to ear, clapping with you singing that song. I was just like, oh my gosh, it made me so happy. So this viralness is true. Just a short little video of her singing herself happy birthday was just like brought me so much joy. And we do radiate. And Nancy, being together through a lot, and the corona and talking about that stuff. I always thought like we should take a bow. We've done a really good job. Come on, like give us some props here. And I think now we are at that stage from going through the corona where we can sit very, I mean, of course it's going to be shaky, but pretty centered and pretty calm. And our regulation abilities are very strong.
Can I just ask real quick? I'm sorry to interrupt, Renee, but what is the deal with beards? Do we not trust dudes without beards, or do we trust dudes with beards? I don't get that.
I think what it is, Brad, is that I've said this before. Technically, if you really compassionate like people, just general, people don't like you because you're a nice person. They like you because you're consistent. It's that's just old curmudgeon Dave, right? He's just old curmudgeon. It's all right. He's just old curmudgeon guy. As long as you're consistently always an old curmudgeon guy, you're going to be fine. You could be rude. You could be downright rude. You just have to be consistent. And ultimately, the herd is comfortable with consistency because consistency is predictability. This is the loyalty thing we're talking about. You're loyal to who you can predict because they help you digest food. You can regulate, you can relax around them because you can predict everything they're going to do. So I think ultimately it's that. I think
So
I look,
you just have no alignment to your beard? Is it an alignment issue?
it's because I change.
I'm just kidding. I know.
Yeah, it's because I change. I do think that if I could put on a beard before streaming, I totally would. I would Egyptian the fuck out of that and have like a royal beard that I put on, because then I could still sleep at night. I think that there's some certain psychological reasons why having a beard makes you seem more distinguished and all that stuff. So, like, I'm not even dismissing that. I believe in the power of theater and costume, right? But ultimately, I think people aren't really upset that I have or don't have a beard. They're upset because I changed. And that's really difficult for people to imagine.
Yeah.
I think when I see someone that shaves their face, I can compassionate because I'm like, wow, that looks really different. That looks really weird, or that looks awful, or that looks, all those things. But ultimately, I'm watching people like right now, the television's on because I'm in the den here, and all these people don't have beards. Like none of them have beards. But every time you turn on the TV, they're going to look like that. That's a very safe space to be in. So I think it has more to do with that.
To beard or not to beard, that is the question. We have come to the end of another ride this Wednesday. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you want to, anyone have anything else to say?
Saturday night ride. We got Kadam's coming up. That'd be great.
Katum, Kadam,
Happy
Katum.
birthday, Nancy. Happy birthday to all the February birthdays. My dad's on the 13th, which is a Friday.
Oh, ominous.
Goodbye, everybody. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Good to see everybody. Love you guys.
Love you guys.